All right, we're ready to rock and roll. It is
Bob's here.
Wednesday, November 18th. I know I said I was worried because I beat you here, which is which is not very.
Well, we're getting park benches in Charleston, so I had to be there.
You had to be there.
That's
awesome.
Hey.
Boy Scout project.
Good for you. That is awesome. Okay, Wednesday, November 18th, 2015. It is slightly after 4 p.m. Mayor McDonald has asked to be excused. Councilman Crittenden from the county is also asked to be excused. I'm in attendance. Colleen Bonner, Bob Koalas is here, Jeff Bradshaw, and Robert Patterson. So, first item on our agenda is our consent agenda, which consists of the October 28th board minutes, October 2015 financial statements, and October 2015 warrants. Motion to approve or discuss.
So moved. Oh, sorry. Go
Okay,
ahead.
we have a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Okay, item number 2, customer request for rate relief.
They're not here.
Okay, we'll move on. We'll come back to them if they show up. All right, item number 3, discussion and approval of draft 2016 capital and operating budgets. Bart, that you?
Got there fast.
Hey,
You gotta watch this lady.
we're not messing around.
Yes, that's me.
Good budget, by the way.
Huh?
I like your budget.
On my budget, it's all managers.
Your draft.
So,
Okay.
in the board packet, you will have seen a fairly lengthy document outlining the main numbers as well as some of the support behind it. We have met as an audit committee, presented it to them on Monday. Also presented it to the chairman on Monday as well. Gone through his thoughts and concerns on it, because he knew he wasn't going to be here. So basically, this is what we're presenting to the board as a draft budget, seeking your approval to post it on the company webpage for review from the community prior to the public hearing. Would you like me to go through some of the details? Okay.
Hit the highlights.
All right. You'll notice our electricity sales, we're forecasting an increase on the year. Part of that is due to the increased rates that were approved a few months back, but another part of it is we're continuing to forecast load growth in the community. So that is why that is projected to be higher for 2016. We're projected to come in at this point on the year slightly under what we had budgeted for 2015, so that's reflected in this document as well. For your information, the state requires that we present 3 years of data with our budget, so we'll have the 2014 actuals as you see them, a projection for 2015, and then 2016. Our power purchases, you'll notice that number goes up fairly significantly. We are estimating our loads will be up slightly, and just using the current power costs, what we have as far as market purchase rates and other variable items is what's driving that 8.5 million. 2015, we had a pretty good purchase year. Rates were low on the market, and so we bought a lot of energy off the market. We also did not have any internal generation as a part of our research and development facility with Caterpillar this year, 2015. But 2016 is looking to have some. Thus, you'll see the fuel is a little bit higher to cover that. With wages, we're forecasting as far as a budget in 2016 to be a little bit lower. Our budget for 2015 it's coming in a little bit higher, but we haven't capitalized as much of our labor as we planned on doing. This coming year, we have a little bit more in our substation, as well as our generation and our distribution that's going to be capitalized. Thus, that number's a little bit lower. Board compensation is as it is. Retirement is fairly steady. Another big item. Our travel and training. We pointed this out to the audit committee the other day. For us to truly stay where we need to be with the employees that we have, we need to spend about $100,000 a year to keep them trained in the right way. This year we kind of held back a little bit on our training, but we've got enough items coming up, particularly with the usage of some of our new softwares and some of our systems that we have internally. The new accounting software will require some fairly heavy training. A lot of that training can be done here, but we're also planning to send 2 people to the user conference in the fall. We have somebody built in there to go, or 2 people built in to go to the census user conference as well. And so there's some of that stuff. We've got quite a bit in there. The biggest category of change is in the information technology and the operating technology. We will have a significant increase next year in the services that we are buying, software as a service. I mentioned earlier the accounting software change. That one comes at a fairly good price. We're also looking at rolling out a new mapping solution to help us better track our system. That has a fairly significant price. Looking at upgrading our current ACS offering, which is associated with the mapping. Right now we use an AutoCAD format of mapping, and we're looking at rolling over to an Esri type product, which will then bring on additional money spent to get our what's the name of the software, Jake? Drawing a blank. DASMAP. So that's why that one's going up quite a bit. But most of our regular stuff, our phones and that stuff's really staying unchanged. Our internet service and all that. Repairs and maintenance, that number in line with where we have been and continue to be. Office supplies, you'll notice that number goes up a little bit, and that's due largely in part to our new billing statements and the cost of having them printed by a third party versus the postcards. We have the reserve funding put in there for next year as well, try to get more money. One thing that we're going to try and really look at is really monitor our insurance coverages, self-insure some of the equipment where we can. That kind of bit us this year when we had submitted a claim last year. But part of doing that is we may want to really consider or watch to see that we have that money setting aside, so if the insurance claim does need to happen. So we're looking, the way we're forecasted, we look to have about $445,000 worth of income after our operating expenses to go towards capital. We'll also we're forecasting roughly $800,000 in aid to construction money coming from developers, and right around $700,000 in impact fee collections. The aid to construction number will be spent for sure on capital, which is quite a bit of money. but the 445 is definitely not enough to cover our entire capital program for the year. So we'll need to make sure that whatever monies we have left over this year get rolled over there. We do have quite a bit of money, almost $900,000 in impact fee related project expenditures forecasted for next year. So if you take $1 million off of the 2.5 due to impact fee, and then you have your 445 from income, and that leaves us about $1 million short. But it's not a real concern to me. I think we should be able to roll enough in this year and to cover it. So, as far as capital projects, there's a write-up behind these pages that covers all the capital projects individually. A lot of them are definite infrastructure type projects. Some of them are definitely discretionary projects. An example of one of those would be the fire suppression system in the generating plants. We've got that. It's about $500,000 over the life of 5 years to do that. But we can break it up over the years, or we can do it all now, or we can do it all at the end. Eventually we're going to need to get to that point, but it's one of those projects that if we don't have the funds sitting in hand, then we'll probably have to push it.
Buy more fire extinguishers, right?
Yeah, like I say, it's one of those medium level risk type projects. So we definitely will not push a high risk project, nor will we push a project that's impact fee related. For example, we had due this very day today the bids for the transformer going to Heber substation, second transformer. That's a project that needs to be done. It's 100% impact fee related, and so we will utilize those funds on that one for sure. We currently have some projects that are carrying over that are built into this. Harold's still working on the Heber closure build that will be in there. We've got the underground issues that we've been facing up to Valley Hills. So they're part of that 735, and we've been cash flowing them as money is available. So, and then the systems and technology, you'll see that one jumps up, but that's because of the NISC and the accounting software. That's the kind of the nuts and bolts of it. The rest of this stuff's just kind of verbiage to cover the same thing I did. One difference that you'll see this year over last year, there's a breakout now for the wages of the board compensation. Part of the changes to the Interlocal Act, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, required that we itemize out the board compensation. So that is now listed in here. And lest you get confused by this table on the 5th page of the document, the budget is put together for you as a board to give us the permission to move forward with the company direction that we have. But it's also put together because the state wants to see what we got going on. And it's also put together for the lenders, our current bond holders, to be able to see what we got going on. And one of the things they like to see is the total cash requirements that we'll have for this year beyond our regular OMAD expenditures. So you'll see our capital plan is listed here, as well as our long-term debt. So for us to keep the company moving and in a viable state, we need to spend about $1.4 million this year out of our pocket for capital growth, and then another $560,000 for debt payments. So we have about a $1.9 million commitment this year for keep things moving right along. So you will see that the debt number is included in the previous sheet because certain parties like to be able to see all of our payments out, and debt is typically an operating expense and not a capital expense. Any questions? Any comments?
Yeah, it was a good review. I mean, looking over it, makes sense. It's justified by the documents in the back, which is, we did that last year. It's not a new thing. I like it.
I think Bart and Jason have done a good job putting it together, and I think they're trying to be conservative, and yet we do have to spend some money to keep the company going. You just have to, it's part of the way it works. So.
Well, one thing I like to usually point out is these two numbers here. When your total capital exceeds your depreciation, that's a sign that you are in a growth or a future planning state of mind. If those numbers were switched, that would show that you're putting less into your system than it's aging. And so, as long as we kind of keep a relationship like we have it there, I think we're in a good shape, because we do have the continuing growth in the valley. Now, if the valley was seeing a 2 to 3% decrease, then you'd hope that those numbers would either be closer together or maybe flipped. There are certain communities that they're just struggling to stay alive. If coal shuts down, my dad's hometown will belly up, because that's the only thing that keeps that town alive right now. So in those cases, that might be it. But we are not in that situation. We are in an area that's continuing to grow. And so you want to make sure that capital investment at least matches, if not outpaces, your depreciation. So, and if you look through those capital projects, you will notice that we're not out there asking for luxury. I mean, there are a few items in there that could be argued or needed or not needed, and those are the items that are typically first on the chopping block if cash flow looks short. So. But if the board is good with it and gives us a vote to move forward, we'll post this and have it ready for the public hearing. So.
Appreciate you guys all being proactive, keeping ahead of the curve.
Whoops.
I think we have a good capital plan in place. I think we're attacking the areas that we need to address, and we're also got a good program in place going forward to kind of rebuild some of the stuff that is fully depreciated, and so that it holds up in winter storms and weather events and everything else. So.
I'd like to make the motion that we accept capital and operating budgets for fiscal year 2016, and by so doing, we'll make it public and present it at the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that public hearing will be Wednesday, December 15th at 6 p.m.
And we're intending to have the rest of our meeting after the hearing,
And
right?
right, and then our board meeting.
That's what I was just thinking.
started.
Kelly, do we need to give 30 days notice on the public hearing? Do you remember?
That was 10.
I don't remember.
Oh, no, that's on the regs.
Oh, I don't think so.
Let me look. Actually, can we defer on the date to like?
Yep.
after
Okay.
Check it.
So we'll check that, we might.
I just saw that the county's been publishing the budget coming up on the 2nd already, so.
Okay.
but it's in the next
All right, so we will, so that it's been approved to move forward. We'll talk about the public hearing at the end then. Okay, so update on employee retirement buyout. Jason, Carly, who's
Carly.
doing Carly?
Want me to do it? Update on Rick?
Oh, either.
Go ahead.
Okay. Earlier this year, we came to you with some options for Rick's retirement. And you approved 50% of the total buyout amount. Since then, we've been looking at the URS guidelines. They actually are a little bit different and don't let us really do what we've kind of historically done with the other employees that have retired. We kind of need to make some adjustments on that. And so in order to kind of keep Rick as a longtime employee with kind of that same expectation that he had when we came to you before with what his share was going to be, the total cost doesn't actually change, but we kind of need to shift that percentage a little bit. So it's more of a 60-40 split. It's about a $10,000 difference from what we originally planned. But because of the way that URS is structured with how we can let him use his vacation to kind of extend his time with the company, they limit that. And so we've kind of had to make some adjustments, and that's kind of a short version of what we've kind of been
What's
working
the
on.
bottom line change, plus or minus?
It'll cost
To
us
the company.
$10,000.
What's that?
$10,000.
10 grand more, right? Is that, I understand?
I'm assuming
what you
10
said?
grand.
Yeah, that keeps him whole with what he's planned and saved for based on what we kind of had talked about last time, and lets us structure it in a way that he can kind of retire with the same expectations that he has been planning on for the last
25 years.
25 years. Yeah. So it's actually, it's not really a new change in the the URS guidelines. It's kind of been in place for several years. They're just kind of stepping up on following those guidelines, and so I think it's important that we do our best to kind of follow the URS guidelines also. So we don't want to make any mistakes and have anything, we don't want to do anything that we're not supposed to, so that we put his retirement at risk.
All right. Do we have others that are close to this, or is this the last one?
We have others close to retiring. We're kind of gonna bring them in and talk with them about.
Following more what URS is. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
A long ways away.
So.
As far as the return on investment on this, that's still there. Rick's a long-term employee. He is also working a little bit longer as well,
Mhm.
so he will be working into beyond what he was planning on working on. So
Beyond December then?
yeah, beyond December.
Couple more months.
And, this is really just what it came down to when we were nailing down the numbers and following the URS guidelines and making sure that he hit that 26th year of employment. And, but, hate to see Rick go and everything, but if he's wanting to go and he's at the age to go, bringing somebody in at a starting salary is the return on investments there
Yeah.
for this money. So
Yeah.
for
I
this
think
buyout.
that's what prompted our agreement on it last time, and I guess That was my concern. I mean, we talk about a additional payout to meet the requirements, but the return is still gonna be to the benefit of the company.
Yes.
Right.
So staff would recommend just going ahead with this. I don't think it goes over the dollar amount that was agreed to last time. I mean,
Not the total dollar amount, just the shift. in-
just the shift
share- the
inside,
share.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be my recommendation, is to go ahead with this. We'll know final numbers as soon as
90 days prior to his
90
actual,
days
yeah,
prior.
yeah. It's really just estimates until the retirement office won't let him go in until 90 days prior to a firm date when he's gonna retire, so.
And the current estimate is what?
Total
Total.
amount,
For the company,
for the company, 67.
67. So,
I'm okay with it.
So moved.
Do we need a motion on that?
yeah,
I would say, yeah, we probably need a motion to accept staff's recommendation for employee retirement buyout.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, general manager's report.
okay, I'll go quick. Cat plan update, we're getting a 1 megawatt unit in the R&D facility. They're looking to get 2,000 hours. That unit will arrive tomorrow. Will probably go online sometime mid-December. That's the first unit that we've had in a while. Clearly they're kind of slowing down on their R&D stuff. But we do expect another unit next calendar year after this one gets done. UAMPS. You've been seeing my emails on carbon-free power project, the nuclear project, whatever you want to call it. I'm doing my best to keep the board updated on all of that. Current amount in phase 1 for the company is in that sheet. It's around $24,000 that phase 1 site development is going to cost us. I handed out some timelines and some Gantt charts. If anybody has any questions on that, it's a very, very complicated thing. I will be happy to get UAMPS in here to address the whole board, or I will do my best to explain it as we go along. But if any questions come up, feel free to call me or come in and see me and we can talk about it more. Solar update. We kind of got guidance from the board to look at doing some rooftop solar. We do have some budgetary numbers in to do rooftop solar. It looks like we're looking at somewhere between 250 and 300 kW to maximize all of the rooftop solar at the operations center. I think we're to the point where we could go out with an RFP on this. I think we've learned enough. We've got an RFP pretty much drafted if that's what the board would like to do. The budgetary numbers that we have in, one number I would recommend not doing it, the other number I would recommend doing it. So
this is putting solar on the rooftop at the operations center?
at all the roofs that are solar available at the operations center.
That'd be the
So
new training center and the office and
It'd be-
warehouse.
the warehouse, line crew shop, cold storage building, and the substation technical shop, the new shop that's down there.
Okay.
So there would be 4 buildings.
Out of how
And
many?
out
How
of-
many buildings?
That doesn't include any of the power plants because they have exhausts on the roof and that. doesn't make them very attractive, so.
What was the proposed or supposed output on the whole array? Should we get it complete?
If we did the whole thing, we're looking at one of the budgetary numbers came in at 250 kW. The other one came in at a little over 300 kW.
Just different arrays, more capacity, and same space we take up, just a better.
Yeah.
And what's the cost to install that?
Ooh, the quote, the budgetary numbers that we got range from 1 million and down to, just for the panels and us installing it, 360,000.
Hmm.
That's quite a difference.
Yeah.
Quite a difference, except we'll.
And that's why I
Well,
really
better
think
crews.
that we need to, formalize it, go out with an RFQ and see exactly what kind of quotes we get to come back if the board is still interested in pursuing this.
You would recommend choosing the 300 kW?
No, I think we need to write up a request for proposal or a request for quote, send it out to.
Best you can offer us, and
50 vendors or, at least 4 or 5 vendors so that we get 3 good quotes that come in, because we're seeing a pretty diverse. Right, Jake? You've looked at it.
Absolutely, yeah. It's
All over
good.
the board?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you need to go out and get some numbers.
Okay. Well, there's lots of people who are asking about solar. It'd be a good place to start is right here at home. We're gonna try it.
Yeah, we do have, I have been contacted. I know that there's a community solar group meeting in December. If there's a way that, if that's something that our customers want, then we should probably continue to look into it, and that would be my recommendation, so.
I think you're gonna get more and more that are gonna ask for it, and I think that would, we might as well get the information that we need.
Do we have a community solar group?
It sounds like it.
You have a community whatever.
Yeah.
Everything.
Okay, so we will proceed with an RFQ on that.
Okay.
Continuing on the solar, if anybody is interested in touring the Salt Palace solar array, the Salt Palace, Salt Lake County, the Salt Palace put in a 1 megawatt solar array on the roof of the Salt Palace. The developer of that has told me that he will set up a tour if people are interested to go see that. So
there's no storage, just collection.
no storage, just collection. Solar's come a long ways. It's not, the ones I've seen, I mean, they're pretty impressive. They're getting quite a bit